You have a weakness that lets you lose composure, a weakness people still use to enrage you, control you, and drag you into their drama. This happens because you are too invested. You let feelings lead you. You let outsiders decide your calm. In this life, the person who remains composed while all others spiral into madness takes all the prizes. Consider this. The stoic man is dreaded. The reactive man is handled. When anarchy erupts, when crowds panic, fight, or shatter, the individual who remains quiet becomes the one all eyes turn to. Stillness is, therefore, power. Machiavelli noted, "A smart man does immediately what the idiot does eventually. The idiot responds. The smart man watches. He allows all others to show their hands first, their rage, terror, self-doubt, as he stays impervious. His composure is not tranquility, it's tactics. His quiet is not feebleness, it's an armament. Understand, composure is a type of mental combat. By not responding, you refuse others the pleasure of managing you. You force them to doubt their own approach. You shatter their certainty without uttering a sound. The noisiest individual is always revealing their feelings. But the composed one, the one who never flinches, never justifies, never pursues, becomes fearsome. This reality doesn't pay the kind, it pays the self-possessed. It pays the individual who refuses to break when adversity strikes. Everybody desires self-assurance, but few grasp that self-control commands far more than confidence ever will. Because self-assurance is easily faked, composure is not. In this session, you will discover how to be cold, not unfeeling, but contained, stoic, not feeble, but enigmatic. You will discover how to cease needing validation, how to locate tranquility amid chaos, how to make quiet your defense, and how to make people esteem you without any speech. For when you finally master your feelings, no one can leverage them against you. That is when you evolve into something else, something unique, a man who cannot be shattered. Right now, I need you to put this declaration in the comments. I manage the tempest inside. Let's start. 1. Discover calm within chaos. The feeble wait for tranquility to arrive. The strong manufacture it internally, even as the world around them is incinerated. Turmoil isn't a cue for hysteria. It's an arena constructed for individuals who know how to remain motionless while everyone else fails. When the globe yells, you murmur. When the masses hurry, you flow like a current, methodical, intentional, unmoved. This is the way you distinguish yourself from the herd. Since anybody can be serene when living is easy, but only the most unique intellects remain balanced in the tempest. Machiavelli noted, "One who desires to be heeded must understand commanding. Yet you cannot command a thing if you do not first command your own self. Each scenario you encounter is a war zone between your urges and your intellect. Turmoil is just reality's method of checking which one actually guides you. The majority shatter because they think tranquility is external, a silent room, a secure location, a brief rest from issues. But the Machiavellian intellect knows tranquility is inward, shaped in flame, created in times when all others lose their hold. It is not about fleeing the tempest. It is about embodying the stillness within it. When others debate, you watch. When they battle for attention, you save your strength. Your quietude becomes a reflection, revealing their imbalance. The instant you cease responding to the noise ceases its control over you. You have to teach yourself to sense turmoil, but not internalize it. Reality will send conflict, treachery, disarray, and suffering toward you, not to ruin you, but to check if you maintain your center. Inhale through the flames. Allow it to move through you without incinerating you, because as soon as you grasp peace is not located, it's constructed. You cease waiting for reality to settle. You embody the calm. Recall this: turmoil only ruins the person who attempts to battle it. The smart man doesn't battle turmoil. He watches it until it eats itself. This is why individuals existing in hysteria are simple to manage. They reveal their feelings, display their ideas, and surrender their tranquility to anybody who understands how to press their triggers. A composed mind, however, is erratic, cryptic, and relentless. Your stillness evolves into your most fearsome armor. It isn't apathy, it is expertise. When you are able to smile while enveloped by noise, you have attained a tier of power that no one can replicate. Therefore, cease attempting to flee hard times. Confront them until dread itself loses fascination with you. Because tranquility isn't comfort, it is control. And when you are able to keep peace within your breast as turmoil spins about you, you have already succeeded. I need you to put this declaration in the comments. I am composed in the tempest. Number 2, power originates in quiet. Quiet is not a void. It is energy awaiting release. The noisy talk to validate themselves, yet the powerful remain silent to guard their edge. True power has no need to declare its presence. It travels unseen, like a shade watching everything, assessing every particular, anticipating the ideal time to act. When you grasp the worth of quiet, you cease expending energy on speech that is irrelevant. You start to see that each time you justify, debate, or protect yourself, you relinquish a fraction of your self-control. Machiavelli noted, "The lion cannot guard himself from snares, and the fox cannot guard himself from wolves. One must thus be a fox to see snares, and a lion to scare wolves." Quiet is the span connecting the two. It instructs you on when to hold back, when to talk, and when to disappear entirely. The contemporary world is packed with individuals desperate for an audience, always exposing their strategies, ideas, and doubts, not grasping that power expires the instant it is revealed. But those who nurture quiet understand that enigma is power. The less you show, the more others invent. The more they invent, the more they dread. Because the unfamiliar frightens people more than any stated danger. A person who says little makes others speculate. That speculation becomes their cognitive trap. As they expend energy trying to decipher you, you stay in command. This is the craft of mental combat, compelling others to expose their hands while you stay cryptic. Quiet also develops discipline. When you master withholding responses, you cultivate patience, and patience is the armament that shatters those who hurry. Each moment you stay motionless as others lose their cool, you accumulate unseen strength. In quiet, you perceive things the rest overlook: tone, motive, vulnerability. You start to look past the words. You begin to grasp the true intentions driving every grin, every praise, every query. The majority speak to occupy the emptiness. The Machiavellian intellect employs the emptiness as a reflection. In quietude, you find how readily people reveal themselves when they sense the urge to occupy the silence. Let them talk. Permit them to expose. You just listen, file away, and act when the moment is correct. That is power. Not the type requiring applause, but the type that silently determines results. The more quiet you grow, the more individuals project their anxieties onto you. They will label you cold, detached, proud, since they cannot decipher you. But grasp this: their unease is evidence of your strength. So allow your quiet to accomplish the task that speech never could. A silent intellect is a perilous weapon. It registers everything, remembers all, and anticipates without feeling. That is where true power originates, in quiet so profound even turmoil cannot touch it. Put this declaration in the comments. My quiet contains power. 3. Cease pursuing validation. Make it pursue you. The instant you begin searching for validation, you surrender your autonomy. Approval is a tether masked as a claim. The more you desire it, the simpler you are to manage. The majority of people fail to see their whole existence is constructed around the views of others. How they appear, talk, act, even their aspirations. Yet when you exist that way, you are not living for your own sake. You are acting for spectators who are indifferent. Machiavelli noted, men are propelled by two main urges, either by affection or by dread. The herd pursues affection because it seems secure. The strong welcome dread because it demands esteem. Pursuing validation makes you foreseeable, and foreseeability murders power. You start to shape yourself into others' expectations, endlessly altering your reality to suit their ease. Yet each time you do so, a part of your genuineness perishes. Power starts when you cease justifying yourself, when you cease requiring leave to exist as you are. Validation is a mirage. People esteem those who do not hunt for it. When you operate with intent and assurance, people gravitate to you instinctively, as self-assurance without validation is scarce. Humanity is programmed to heal to what it cannot sway, so the one indifferent to being liked evolves into the one all others wish to dazzle. That is the contradiction of power. The less you pursue validation, the more it trails you. To conquer this, you must study detachment. Detach from acclaim. Detach from censure. Detach from the urge to be noticed. As the Machiavellian intellect grasps that being liked is fleeting, but being esteemed is forever. Esteem originates from limits, from the capacity to refuse without justification. When you cease to dread disapproval, you grow impervious to manipulation. People will probe you. They will deny validation, challenge your choices, and attempt to make you question yourself. This is how they gauge your power. The majority collapse under that quiet because they confuse a lack of validation with dismissal. But the smart one knows. Dismissal is merely a new path toward power. So when you cease pursuing acceptance, you begin to pull it in. You grow magnetic, not from desiring attention, but from no longer requiring it. People are pulled to what they cannot completely grasp, and detachment is the most profound enigma of all. It emits control, self-esteem, and authority. From that moment, all things shift: talks, connections, chances. Because when you stand apart without needing anyone's approval, reality warps to recognize your existence. Your autonomy becomes your seat of power. So cease validating. Stop placating. Allow others to pursue your validation instead. Because real authority is not bestowed by others. It is seized by the one who ceases to request it. I need you to put this declaration in the comments. I don't pursue approval. Number 4. Self-control demands more than self-assurance. Self-assurance is easily feigned, but self-control cannot. Anybody can swell their chest, talk noisily, and feign courage. But the instant true pressure hits, their facade shatters. Self-control, conversely, is the silent power that never wanes, no matter how intense the tempest becomes. It is the sort of presence that hushes a space without one utterance. When you move with self-control, you don't need to validate anything. Your aura resonates more than any statement. Machiavelli noted, "It is finer to seem merciful, loyal, humane, pious, and honest, but to be capable of shifting as luck and conditions require. That is the core of self-control, the capacity to adjust without feeling. To stay centered when all others swing wildly. The globe admires self-assurance because it's visible, but self-control is dreaded because it's immovable. A self-assured man pursues attention. A self-possessed man already commands it. When others debate, he hears. When they hurry, he decelerates. When his surroundings attempt to bait him, he stays unbothered. That is when people grasp he's different. They perceive his self-control. They detect his substance. He doesn't engage every fight because he understands responding is giving up command to turmoil. The self-possessed man analyzes the war zone while others wear themselves out. His calm evolves into an armament keener than hostility. Real self-control is shaped through unease, through scenarios that try your patience, lure your ego, and activate your feelings. Each time you fight the impulse to respond, you construct a citadel within your psyche. The most powerful men in history were not the noisiest. They were the most restrained under pressure. They understood that the capacity to remain calm while assaulted is more fearsome than any eruption of force. When you maintain a level tone and a fixed gaze as others lose their grip, you command without conflict. This is how leaders are made, not by yelling orders, but by possessing a stillness that others naturally obey. Self-control is also the end of manipulation. Individuals can't warp your feelings if they can't decipher them. They can't manage your mind if they can't foresee your response. This is why being calm is not passive. It is the ultimate style of defense. It's consciousness, tactics, and patience masked as quiet. When you conquer self-control, you cease existing on impulse. You start to reply with accuracy. Every motion becomes deliberate, every choice purged of feeling. That is when you ascend above the static and foolishness. The self-assured might flare brightly for a moment, but the self-possessed last through all seasons. Because the man who remains calm under duress commands both esteem and dread, and that mix is power. Do not let turmoil set your tone. Never let static rattle your center. Because when you conquer self-control, you don't just manage yourself, you manage the space. Put this declaration in the comments. My calm commands power. 5. Sense everything. Reveal nothing. You are not meant to be unfeeling. You are meant to be cryptic. The most powerful men sense everything. Agony, treachery, frustration, fury. Yet they never allow the world to witness it. They convert emotion into intellect. Each sensation becomes fuel. Each wound becomes tactics. Because when you reveal your feelings to the wrong audience, you give them the tools to manage you. Machiavelli noted, never try to gain by power what can be gained by guile. The same is true for your feelings. You do not win by revealing them, you win by conquering them. The majority confuse articulation with power. They believe airing every feeling makes them authentic. Yet the reality is, the world doesn't pay emotional openness. It leverages it. The more individuals know what impacts you, the simpler it is for them to wield it against you. The instant somebody finds out what makes you mad, worried, or hopeless, they have already constructed a chart of your vulnerabilities. The Machiavellian intellect knows feelings are indicators, not directives. You can sense everything without responding to anything. That is emotional management, the craft of allowing energy to pass through you without sacrificing your center. When you sense rage, don't detonate. Analyze it. When sorrow arrives, don't submerge. Observe it. Feelings lose their hold when you decline to perform for them. And this is what divides the strong from the weak. The strong transform emotional tempests into quiet tactical meetings. They do not reject their agony. They process it until it hones their perception. Revealing feeling is not power. Managing it is. Because quiet baffles the calculating. Apathy neutralizes the proud. And self-control ruins the inquisitive who want to watch you fail. Your composure under duress drives others insane because it exposes their own lack of control. When they anticipate a response and get stillness, they begin doubting their own strength. That is mental domination. But grasp this. Feeling numb is not the objective. Sensing profoundly yet staying calm is. Each feeling you overcome becomes a block in your groundwork of power. The majority flee from feelings because they dread being eaten by them. You will discover how to stand motionless as they roar inside, understanding that tempests always fade, but restraint endures. Because the man who can confront his feelings without letting them characterize him grows impervious. The world will test you. It will hurl people grief and lures at you just to watch you shatter. But you will not. You will sense everything yet reveal nothing. You will allow others to guess what stirs behind your gaze as you silently construct your domain. That is not repression. That is expertise. Now, I need you to put this declaration in the comments. I sense profoundly but show nothing. 6. Feeble minds respond. Powerful minds grasp. Each response is an admission. The instant you answer impulsively, you show what manages you. Feeble minds are servants to feeling, perpetually pulled by rage, envy, or dread. They respond because they are missing internal restraint, because quiet seems intolerable to them. Powerful minds don't hurry to answer. They analyze, they decipher, they grasp, they look past the exterior of each scenario. Machiavelli noted, "A ruler never lacks legitimate reasons to shatter his word," meaning the smart do not operate from feeling, but from logic. They warp scenarios to their benefit because they grasp things before they act. The idiot responds instantly, forfeiting his motives while the planner watches, learning how to flip each assault into a benefit. Grasping is power because it grants you options. Responding is servitude because it grants others control. When you respond, your foes guide. When you grasp, you guide them. The contemporary world trains people to respond immediately. Social media, debates, rivalries, static everywhere, urging you to reply, to protect, to justify. But this is how the feeble reveal their self-doubts. The Machiavellian intellect knows that quiet after being baited is not evasion. It's authority. Because when you postpone your response, you generate pressure. And in that quiet, others begin exposing their motives, their dreads, their boundaries. That is when grasping becomes your armament. As you begin to perceive who is emotional, who is calculating, who is authentic, and as soon as you grasp them, you can manage them. Feeble minds desire to show they are correct. Powerful minds care only to know what's factual. That distinction defines power. Grasping demands patience, and patience is a trait only the restrained possess. As a composed watcher discovers more in one moment of quiet than an impulsive person learns in an existence of static. The strong don't need to protect their reputation. They let outcomes speak. They do not debate for authority. They scheme in quiet. They do not pursue esteem. They make it unavoidable. The one who responds grows foreseeable. The one who grasps becomes an apparition, impervious and cryptic. To conquer grasping, you must teach your ego to be quiet. Don't presume. Don't internalize insults and never allow feeling to choose for you. When an individual disrespects you, don't hurry to protect your ego. Inquire why they had to. When an individual deceives you, don't challenge them instantly. Analyze what dread compelled them to do it. When you begin grasping instead of responding, you convert each insult into data, each fight into focus, each treachery into schooling. And that is when your power grows impervious. Because the intellect that grasps has already succeeded before the response even starts. Remember, any idiot can respond, but only a sovereign can stay calm enough to grasp. Put this declaration in the comments. I don't respond. I grasp. 7. Strength multiplies when you cease justifying. The instant you cease justifying yourself, you move into real power. People who perpetually rationalize their moves reveal doubt, and doubt beckons management. The more you justify, the more you erode your stance, because justification is a mea culpa masked as logic. As Machiavelli noted, it is finer to be dreaded than loved if you cannot be both. Dread doesn't come from speech, it comes from enigma. When individuals can't completely decipher your intentions, they begin to esteem you from wariness. But when you justify every action, you grow clear, and transparency murders power. The Machiavellian intellect grasps that quiet establishes rank. When you talk less, your speech acquires gravity. When you justify less, your actions acquire force. The strong don't expend energy validating their value. They allow their outcomes to talk with brutal precision. Each justification welcomes argument, and argument is a snare built to drag you into feelings domain. The smart never enter that war zone. They just declare, perform, and continue. The strong understand their choices, do not require validation, and their quiet after a decision frightens those who anticipate justification. You have to grasp that people don't desire reality. They desire ease. When you begin justifying, you attempt to soothe them. And by doing so, you sink yourself to their plane. But when you stay quiet, you make them endure ambiguity, and that ambiguity becomes your strength. A composed man who doesn't justify himself appears perilous because individuals cannot foresee him. They guess what he grasps, what he's scheming, what he may do next. That mental advantage is invaluable. When you cease justifying, you shift from protection to authority. You become an entity that doesn't pursue to be understood, only esteemed. In a reality fixated on approval, quiet becomes insurrection. It disturbs the feeble because it alerts them that they have no management over you. Cease informing people of your motives, your visions, your next step. Allow them to guess. Allow them to misconstrue. Strength is built in shade, not in dialogues. You owe no justification for your decisions, your quiet, or your detachment. Each time you fight the impulse to justify, you bolster your autonomy. People will label you proud, cold, or enigmatic. Permit them. Their disarray is evidence that they no longer have access to your intellect. The instant they cease anticipating justifications, you've already succeeded. Because real power isn't noisy. It's quiet. It travels without requesting leave and performs without requesting praise. The one who doesn't justify holds the edge of unpredictability, and unpredictability is the pulse of authority. So never justify your motives. Simply enact them. Never show your tactics. Just allow the outcomes to manifest. Strength multiplies when you grasp that quiet is your greatest reply. Now you grasp what makes an individual genuinely impervious. It's not bodily power, not noisy self-assurance, not endless articulation. It's control. The one who stays composed when all else fails, who remains quiet as others yell, who ceases to justify, respond, or pursue, that is the one reality cannot overcome. Machiavelli noted, "The vow given was a requirement of yesterday. The word shattered is a requirement of today, implying the strong move with logic, not feeling. They adjust, develop, and stay unmoved regardless of how often life shifts around them. You must now grow into that person, composed, cold, and impervious. The tempests will not cease arriving, but they will cease affecting you. People will continue to probe you, but they will not manage you anymore. Because when your feelings are yours, and not to realities, you grow into a master of your own self, and self-possession is the ultimate form of power. From this instant, do not try to validate anything. Do not protect yourself. Do not pursue acknowledgement. Allow your quiet to demand it. Allow your aura to resonate more than your speech ever could. And when people ask how you remain so composed while the world incinerates, just grin. Because that's what they will never grasp. Composure is not tranquility. It's dominion over the psyche. You are not the tempest's casualty anymore. You are its core. If this communication resonated with your spirit, recall, this type of power is scarce, but it is constructible. So if you are prepared to continue growing keener, colder, and smarter, then like this video, send it to an individual who must hear it, and subscribe to enter the circle of intellects that decline to be shattered. Put this last declaration in the comments. I am composed, cold, and impervious.